At 4:50 a.m. on December 12, 2025, a massive Russian convoy carrying $500 million in critical repair materials is currently exploding in a chain reaction visible from space. The fireball climbing above the Taman checkpoint isn't just bright, it's reaching temperatures of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to turn custom-engineered hydraulic couplings into molten slag. These trucks were Putin's only realistic shot at fixing the crippled Crimean Bridge before Christmas. The propaganda photos were already drafted, showing workers triumphantly restoring the vital supply artery. Except right now, those irreplaceable parts are melting inside an inferno that's consuming 30 vehicles simultaneously, bumper to bumper, like dominoes made of TNT. Unknown to the Russian convoy commander, celebrating what he thought was an F-16 kill just seconds earlier, 4 GBU-39 Small Diameter Bombs, released at high altitude, are currently falling silently through the morning fog. The lead bomb has already locked onto the third truck in the convoy, the one with the green canvas cover concealing industrial oxygen tanks. The guidance computer has calculated impact down to the centimeter. 3 seconds to detonation. If you've ever wondered whether there's a way to destroy a bridge that's already been blown up, this is exactly how you do it. You don't hit the bridge again. You burn the band-aids Putin sent to fix it. And the pilot who just pulled this off? That's Ghost, the same Ukrainian F-16 jockey who put a pair of American glide bombs through the bridge deck last week. What happens next will prove that sometimes the most devastating weapon isn't the explosion itself, it's the calendar. 4:44 a.m., 6 minutes before the fireworks. Ghost isn't supposed to be here. By all logic, after last week's bridge strike, he should be sitting in a debriefing room somewhere, filling out paperwork, while intelligence analysts dissect his gun camera footage frame by frame. Instead, he's strapped into 49 feet of aluminum tubing, screaming across the Black Sea at 580 knots. Flying solo, his radar altimeter is having an anxiety attack. The F-16 Block 50 under his control is skimming just 50 feet above the Whitecaps, riding in the radar shadow where the Earth's curvature becomes his best friend. This isn't caution, it's survival. The moment he climbs above 200 feet, every S-400 battery from Crimea to Krasnodar will light him up like a Christmas tree. Under his wings hang 4 GBU-39 Small Diameter Bombs, each weighing 250 pounds and carrying 93 pounds of AFX-757 explosive. These aren't the dumb iron bombs your grandfather dropped over Germany. Each one has a GPS-aided inertial navigation system accurate to within 3 feet and can glide 69 miles when released from altitude. Think of them as precision guillotines that can be thrown from the next county. The mission profile is brutally simple. Get close enough to loft these weapons, let physics do the math, and disappear before the Russians figure out what hit them. The target is sitting 15 miles ahead at the Taman checkpoint, the main choke point controlling access to the Crimean Bridge. 30 Kamaz 635 08x8 military trucks are jammed bumper to bumper, waiting for security clearance. Intelligence intercepts identified the cargo 3 days ago. Custom hydraulic couplings manufactured in Belarus, each one weighing 1,200 pounds and designed specifically for the bridge's damaged support system. But that's not what makes this convoy a priority target. Tucked between the engineering equipment are 40 industrial oxygen cylinders, each containing 6,000 liters of pure O2 compressed to 200 bar. In firefighting, they call oxygen an accelerant. In warfare, it's called a force multiplier. One spark in that environment, and the resulting conflagration will burn hot enough to melt steel. High above, at 15,000 feet, the invisible cavalry arrives. 8 Ukrainian Dovbush T-10 heavy drones are cruising silently through the pre-dawn darkness, each one a flying logistics platform measuring 12 feet across with a payload capacity of 110 pounds. These aren't the quadcopters you buy on Amazon. They're purpose-built ISR and strike platforms with encrypted data links and autonomous navigation systems that can operate completely independently if jammed. Right now, they're serving as motherships for something far more devious. With a mechanical hum audible only to the onboard cameras, their cargo bays cycle open. 48 fixed-wing FPV gliders tumble out into the slipstream, their folded wings snapping open as they catch the air. Each glider weighs just 3.5 pounds, constructed from reinforced foam and carbon fiber. The warhead is modest, a shaped charge carrying 400 grams of Composition B explosive. Against a main battle tank, it's a mosquito bite. Against soft-skinned vehicles packed with flammable cargo, it's a match being tossed into a gasoline refinery. Here's the genius of the design. These gliders don't use their motors during the approach. They deploy at altitude and simply glide, riding wind currents and gravity toward the target. Their thermal signature is functionally 0, colder than a seagull. Their radar cross-section is smaller than a pigeon. To every sensor the Russians possess, they're ghosts riding the morning fog. The batteries are reserved for the final 30 seconds of flight, when they need to correct course and accelerate into the target. It's like watching a falcon hunt. Long periods of efficient gliding, followed by one explosive burst of speed. Way down below at the checkpoint, the Russians aren't sleeping. The S-400 Triumph battery, positioned at Kerch, 18 miles northeast, represents the pinnacle of Russian air defense technology. The system's 92 N6E gravestone radar can track 300 targets simultaneously out to 250 miles, engaging up to 36 of them at once, with missiles traveling at Mach 6. The coverage bubble is so extensive it effectively creates a no-fly zone over the entire Kerch Strait. On paper, sneaking an F-16 through this defensive screen is like trying to rob a bank while every security guard has perfect night vision and you're wearing a glow stick. Except the radar screens at Kerch aren't showing a clean tactical picture right now. They're showing a seizure-inducing mess. Suddenly, instead of 48 small contacts barely registering above the noise floor, the operators are looking at what appears to be an entire squadron of heavy bombers approaching from multiple vectors. The radar returns are massive RCS signatures consistent with B-52s, or possibly even strategic airlifters. The screen looks like someone dumped a bucket of Christmas lights onto the display. This is heavy electronic spoofing, courtesy of the Dovbush motherships. Each drone carries a Virtus-D electronic warfare pod that broadcasts false radar returns, digital phantoms designed to overwhelm enemy air defense networks. It's not jamming in the traditional sense. Jamming is crude, like shouting over someone in a conversation. This is psychological warfare against machines, feeding them so much contradictory information that their threat assessment algorithms start hallucinating. 4:45 a.m. The electronic brawl begins. The Russian air defense commander at Kerch isn't an idiot. He's a 15-year veteran who cut his teeth in Syria, and he's seen this exact playbook before. He looks at the seizure-inducing mess on his screens and immediately recognizes the trap. That bomber fleet is a digital ghost, expensive pixels designed to make him do something stupid. If he keeps his main S-400 radar active, he's essentially broadcasting his exact position to every anti-radiation missile in the Black Sea theater. Those weapons are designed specifically to ride radar beams back to their source and turn multi-million-dollar systems into smoking craters. He makes a ruthless tactical decision. He kills the main radar. The S-400 battery goes dark, denying the Ukrainians their primary target. Instead, he passes the fight down to the street-level brawlers, the 4 Pantsir S-1 short-range air defense systems guarding the checkpoint itself. His order crackles through the encrypted radio net. Switch to electro-optical, find them with thermal cameras, and kill them manually. On paper, this is brilliant adaptive tactics. The Pantsir S-1 is specifically designed for this scenario, equipped with both radar and optical tracking systems precisely to operate in heavy jamming environments. Each vehicle mounts a thermal imaging camera capable of detecting heat signatures out to 12 miles. In theory, they should be able to stop and engage the incoming threats without emitting a single radio frequency signal. In practice, he just asked his crews to perform a miracle while blindfolded. Here's the problem. Asking a Pantsir operator to find a plastic glider inside a thick fog bank using thermal imaging is like trying to find a specific ice cube in a freezer using a thermometer. The dense fog rolling off the Black Sea is acting as a thermal blanket, scattering infrared radiation in every direction. Even worse, these FPV gliders don't have hot turbine engines or rocket motors. They're literally gliding on wind currents, their only heat source being the tiny electronics package and battery, both heavily insulated. To a thermal sensor, they're essentially flying ice cubes, ambient temperature objects disappearing into an ambient temperature fog. The Pantsir crews are staring at gray static. They're rotating their turrets frantically, scanning sectors, seeing nothing but occasional fleeting shadows that could be birds, could be debris, could be death incoming at 80 miles per hour. The psychological pressure is crushing. They know something is out there. They know they're being hunted. They just can't see the hunter. The convoy commander, desperate and out of options, makes the call. He authorizes a blind volley. 4 57E6 interceptor missiles scream off the rails, their solid rocket motors igniting with a sound like canvas being torn apart. They accelerate to Mach 4 in 3.2 seconds, climbing into the soup on purely ballistic trajectories. There's no radar lock, no infrared lock, no guidance at all beyond the general direction of up and out there somewhere. Let's pause and appreciate the economics of panic. Each 57E6 missile costs approximately $1 million on the international black market. Russia just fired $4 million worth of cutting-edge ordnance into a cloud based on gut feeling. 2 missiles lose their inertial guidance almost immediately when they fail to acquire any target whatsoever. They detonate harmlessly at altitude, creating spectacular fireballs that illuminate the fog from within like lightning inside a thunderhead. One missile gets extraordinarily lucky, and proximity detonates near enough to a glider to shred it with fragmentation. That's a $1 million missile trading itself for a $500 piece of foam and circuits. Putin just swapped a Ferrari for a skateboard. But the sheer volume of fire is creating a real problem for the swarm. The Pantsir crews, realizing missiles aren't working, switch to their twin 2A38M 30mm autocannons. These weapons are monsters, firing 5,000 rounds per minute of high-explosive incendiary ammunition. The barrels begin vomiting tracers into the fog, creating curtains of hot steel. It's not aimed fire, it's a wall. The tactical doctrine is simple. If you can't see the target, fill the entire volume of airspace with lead and let probability do the work. The swarm takes casualties. 5 gliders are shredded outright, disintegrating into component atoms. Another 6 are damaged, tumbling out of control into the Black Sea. Ghost, still racing toward the engagement area at wave-top level, watches the tracers erupting from the fog bank ahead like angry neon whips. The Russians are blind, yes, but they're flailing wildly with a sledgehammer in a dark room, and he's about to step right into the arc of that swing. The AI controller on the Dovbush mothership makes a cold calculation. The swarm's attrition rate is approaching critical mass. If the Russians maintain this rate of fire for another 90 seconds, the entire assault package will be depleted before reaching the target. The autonomous system running the operation doesn't experience fear or hesitation. It simply evaluates probabilities and executes the highest value solution. Execute Pattern Delta. 42 surviving gliders receive the command simultaneously. They stop drifting. Their electric motors spool up to maximum RPM. They tuck their wings into high-speed configuration and pitch their noses down in perfect unison, transforming from harmless floating toys into 120-mile-per-hour kinetic missiles, diving straight into the teeth of the Russian guns. The Russian response is ferocious and immediate. The Pantsir crews, their threat warning systems screaming as they detect multiple high-speed targets inbound, switch their autocannons to maximum cyclic rate. The sound is ungodly. 5,000 rounds per minute sounds like reality itself being unzipped. Streams of tracers crisscross the sky, creating a literal ceiling of hot steel and high explosives. Every 5th round is a tracer, meaning for every glowing line you can see, there are 4 invisible bullets flying in between. The first wave of 10 gliders flies straight into this meat grinder. They don't just explode, they cease to exist. Plastic, copper, lithium batteries, and circuits are vaporized simultaneously, falling like dead birds. They smash impotently onto the asphalt, their shaped charges failing to detonate because the electronic triggers are fried. They roll harmlessly past the targets they were seconds away from destroying. Nothing more than expensive paperweights. The swarm is dead. The sky is clear. The Russian commander, grinning through the smoke and chaos, permits himself exactly 3 seconds of satisfaction before pointing his finger at the low horizon and saying the words every pilot dreads. Activate Kolchuga. Find the mother. Inside the F-16, Ghost's world transforms from controlled tension into controlled chaos. The Kolchuga M passive sensor array doesn't emit a signal, which means Ghost's radar warning receiver can't detect it. Instead, it hunts for the faint electronic emissions every modern aircraft produces: the radar altimeter, the radio, even the electrical noise from the flight control computers. It's a vampire in the electromagnetic spectrum, sensing the warmth of your blood without ever making a sound. Ghost's radar warning receiver suddenly lights up with a source unknown designation. He's not being painted by radar, that would almost be comforting, because he knows how to defeat radar. This is worse. He's been instantly by 30mm shells traveling at 970 meters per second. It's not combat, it's physics executing an eviction notice. But here's where swarm tactics reveal their brutal elegance. A Pantsir turret can traverse 100 degrees per second. That sounds impressive until you realize the drones are coming from 360 degrees simultaneously. The servo motors whine and overheat as the gunners desperately snap from target to target, their hands cramping on the controls. For every glider they destroy, 2 more are diving from different vectors. The human brain simply cannot process threat information fast enough. Boom! A glider slips through the curtain of fire and impacts the windshield of the command vehicle at 120 miles per hour. The shaped charge detonates on contact, punching through ballistic glass and turning the crew compartment into a pressure cooker of superheated gas. Another glider, damaged but still functional, slams into the missile rails of the Western Pantsir battery. The impact detonates a ready-to-fire 57E6 still in its launch tube. The resulting explosion flips the 30-ton vehicle onto its side like a dead beetle, its sophisticated electronics reduced to molten slag. From Ghost's perspective 8 miles out, it looks like Ukraine is winning. The defensive fire is becoming sporadic, uncoordinated. Half the checkpoint is on fire. This is the moment where adrenaline tells you to celebrate. This is also the moment where veterans know something worse is coming. The Russian commander screams a single code word into his headset. Barrier! 4 specialized Tiger M armored vehicles, hidden until this exact moment in revetments 200 meters from the checkpoint, unleash their payload. These aren't conventional weapons. They're firing 122mm canister rounds vertically into the air directly above the convoy. The projectiles climb to 400 feet before their timed fuses detonate. They don't explode with shrapnel. They burst open and release a dense conductive aerosol cloud, millions of microscopic metallic particles suspended in an oil-based carrier, creating an artificial fog that's electrically conductive. It's essentially weaponized chaff meets metallic mist, designed specifically to short-circuit electronics and sever RF data links. The American military calls it electromagnetic pulse simulation. The Russians call it barrier. The effect on the cheap FPV gliders is catastrophic and immediate. As they fly into the silver mist at high speed, their control links sever instantly. The encrypted 5.8 GHz data link signal that's been guiding them suddenly encounters a cloud of conductive particles that acts like a Faraday cage. The video feeds go black. The flight computers lose GPS lock as the signals can't penetrate the metallic fog. The cheap commercial processors fry as induced currents overwhelm their circuits. 20 gliders drop out of the sky. Now Ghost is hanging slow and vulnerable, a perfect target. The lead S-400 missile screams past, missing by 500 feet, but the second missile locks on. Ghost is out of options. Then 2 Dovbush motherships dive into the missile's path, broadcasting massive fake radar signatures. The missile takes the bait and detonates them instead. The shockwave slams Ghost's jet downward. He wrestles the controls, leveling off at 50 feet. He's alive. Below, the Russians are cheering, thinking they killed him. They have no idea 4 bombs are falling silently toward their heads. The first GBU-39 punches through the third truck, the one with industrial oxygen tanks. The explosion is blindingly white, spiking to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit instantly. The oxygen feeds the fireball. The shockwave rips through the bumper-to-bumper convoy. Hydraulic fluid drums rupture and ignite. Truck after truck detonates in a chain reaction. The checkpoint disappears. The Pantsir battery's radar panels melt. Ready missiles cook off, adding rocket fuel to the inferno. From 12 miles away, Ghost sees the horizon light up like a false sunrise. The convoy, worth $500 million, is gone, triangulated through passive means, which means somewhere out there, multiple sensors have quietly compared notes and drawn a box around his exact position. The S-400 battery at Kerch, which has been sitting dark and patient this entire time, roars back to life. 248 N6DM missiles blast out of their tubes with a sound like God clearing his throat. These are big weapons, 18 feet long, weighing 3,900 pounds each, carrying 400 pounds of high explosives and proximity fuses. They don't need a radar lock to launch because they're being guided by data link to Ghost's exact coordinates. They'll activate their onboard seekers once they get close. They accelerate to Mach 6 in 4.2 seconds. They're closing the 12-mile gap faster than Ghost can process the thought, I'm in trouble. He's alone. The swarm is dead. He has 2 telephone poles of high explosives screaming his name at 4,500 miles per hour. And he's completely out of clever tricks. Or is he? Ghost yanks the stick, pulling 9 Gs. The pressure suit crushes his legs. His vision tunnels. The threat warning screams red, 248 N6 missiles at 7 miles, closing at Mach 6. Instead of running, he does something insane. He lights the afterburner and charges straight at them, accelerating to 700 knots. He needs speed for the toss. At 4.5 miles out, Ghost yanks the stick back. The F-16 snaps vertical, trading speed for altitude. At 45 degrees pitch up, the flight computer releases all 4 GBU-39 bombs. They arc upward like artillery shells thrown by the jet's massive momentum. The custom hydraulic couplings are molten slag. Putin's bridge won't be fixed this year. Ghost banks toward home, keying his mic for the first time. Delivery complete. Do not expect a tip. Let's look at the scoreboard. Ukraine spent $1.3 million jet fuel, 4 bombs, cheap drones, 2 sacrificed motherships. Russia lost a $500 million convoy. But money isn't the real problem. Those hydraulic parts were custom engineered, smuggled through sanctions. Replacing them takes 6 months minimum. The Crimean Bridge remains a crippled single-lane bottleneck, choking logistics for the entire southern front. This attack proved Russia's billion-dollar air defense has a fatal flaw: no answer for $500 plastic toys, combined with 1980s jet tactics. They're catching mosquitoes with sledgehammers and missing. Bye for now. The custom hydraulic couplings are molten slag. Putin's bridge won't be fixed this year. Ghost banks toward home, keying his mic for the first time. Delivery complete. Do not expect a tip. Let's look at the scoreboard. Ukraine spent $1.3 million jet fuel, 4 bombs, cheap drones, 2 sacrificed motherships. Russia lost a $500 million convoy. But money isn't the real problem. Those hydraulic parts were custom engineered, smuggled through sanctions. Replacing them takes 6 months minimum. The Crimean Bridge remains a crippled single-lane bottleneck, choking logistics for the entire southern front. This attack proved Russia's billion-dollar air defense has a fatal flaw: no answer for $500 plastic toys, combined with 1980s jet tactics. They're catching mosquitoes with sledgehammers and missing. Bye for now.